Perfection is BS. And if you're striving for perfection in a relationship, then I would say that you have the wrong ideal, because we are sold really on this fairy tale of what love should look like. Because even in relationships, as much as people hate to hear this, great relationships are run like great businesses. The excitement that comes from a relationship only comes if you're continuously growing, which means that it must continue to be imperfect. Welcome to Startup Spouses, where our goal is to help entrepreneurial couples to take their mediocre relationship and make it mind-blowing. I'm Adam.
And I'm Marie.
And today we're going to talk a little bit about the framework that we've used that has helped us to take our relationship to the level it's at now, which is essentially a 10 out of 10, right?
I agree with that.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a journey, I think.
It is a journey, yes.
Well, here's the thing about journeys is they take time.
Yeah. And the key is to don't stop believing. When you're on a journey,
My gosh.
you know, typically you're going through a city, but no, it's like, yeah, you just don't stop believing. You know?
Yes.
Anyway, sorry.
Well, with the Spark framework that we're talking about today, I believe that it is a journey. It's not like a quick fix. If you're here for a quick fix, I mean, maybe to look somewhere else, because I think relationships take time and effort, and they require some, again, time,
Right.
and effort.
Yeah. And that you wear matching colors and clothes.
Oh yes, I
Right?
wanted to support your choice today.
My choice. So is this a support of my choice because in and of itself it's just not I don't have a great fashion sense?
No, this is my way of connecting with you today. I actually put it on and then realized what happened.
Yeah. No, that tends to happen too after about 20 years of marriage. Yeah. You tend to wear the same clothes. And we're very earth tony today on this lovely winter's afternoon.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think it might help too to define really, because we talk a little bit about like having a 10 out of 10 marriage.
Yeah.
Right? And it might be good to define really what that means for us.
Yeah.
Like what that really means and how we got there.
Yes.
And for me, when I say 10 out of 10, a lot of people hear 10 out of 10. Oh, everything's perfect. It's just this Instagram story of wonder and greatness, and it's all BS, right? And it is. Perfection is BS. And if you're striving for perfection in a relationship, then I would say that you have the wrong ideal, because we are sold really on this fairy tale of what love should look like, and we're sold on it looking like perfection, like you meet the one and you live happily ever after, and that's almost never the case. Which is why we have a 50% divorce rate and even more people than that are just unhappy in their marriage.
Yeah.
I feel like what a 10 out of 10 marriage is a marriage that has its dents, its flaws, and you still are able to work through everything, where there's openness and honesty. And I think it's important for every couple to really define what a 10 out of 10 relationship looks like for them, and not set an unrealistic expectation on that. What do you think?
So it's not a happily ever after story, or the Instagram Christmas card pictures where everybody's looking super happy and very well put together, I must say.
Sure. Yeah.
Kudos to get all those people to match those outfits. But that's not me.
Right.
I don't think I have the capacity. I'm more of like the mess, like having a beautiful mess is to really sink my teeth into life, be able to enjoy it.
Say more about what beautiful mess looks like, because I'm curious to know your thoughts about that.
A beautiful mess is it's not picture perfect.
Mm-hmm.
It's not aesthetically pleasing. It's the taking the little moments in life and say, I'm in the kitchen and I slip and fall,
Yeah.
and instead of like getting all pissed off, I'm laughing about it, and we're making jokes about it,
Right.
and it's like even those embarrassing moments are a way to connect. The connection is the important thing.
Yeah.
The intimacy, the love, the joy, and also conflict comes up
Yeah.
in
Absolutely.
the relationship, the rupture that happens, and then the ability to repair that relationship is I call that a beautiful mess. Because of the fact that all these people have stolen this beautiful picture-esque family happy so I kind of want the opposite of that. I want more real.
Yeah. Yeah. I would rather. I'm with you. I what and what the way I'm hearing that too is it's not as superficial. There's like this idea that we need to be superficial and appear like beautiful and all that kind of stuff. Like Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan rom-com from the 1990s that basically defined all of that. Where they meet at the top of the Empire State Building and then they live happily ever after and there's never any problems. But in reality, what we didn't see behind the scenes was when they go home and when they actually start dating and then they move in together and the first time Meg Ryan has explosive diarrhea in the house and then it's like, well, I mean, but those are the things like the reality of the situation, or they find the things that they're annoyed with or the flaws, those
Yeah.
kinds of things.
It's that, and then now we have the extreme side to that. The other side is we do have these reality TV now that
Right.
we see the most extreme portion of these people's lives,
Right.
like the not just like the extravagance, but now we're dealing with like drama and like what's going on with this person and who's cheating on who,
Right.
and everybody upset with each other, and then this artificial harmony put together, and then the rupture with extreme drama
Yeah.
put in place, and so it's so polarizing between the two of them.
Right.
To see that is because like on one hand we get to see this beautiful picture perfect, and then the other hand we see the extreme drama, which it's anybody has that in their household.
Yeah.
Like,
It's entertaining to
really?
watch, but
But
it's not real. And that's, I think, where we got to get to like what a 10 out of 10 marriage is. And again, I think it goes back to defining that, each couple defining what that looks like themselves. I mean, really zeroing in on what are the specific goals and ideas that you have for a relationship, out of what you want from that, and make it realistic. Set those smart criteria on what that looks like, and then really define what a 10 looks like on each of those criteria.
Yeah.
And I think we've been able to do that over time, but it didn't always start like that, because when we first got into a relationship, and if you go back one episode on our first episode of Stardust Spouses, we talked a little bit about our history and how it wasn't perfect, how there were these issues, but we ended up growing together instead of apart. And that's part of it, is living in tune with your values, like what your core values are, what your focus is, where you want to go and your goals for the long term, and are you aligned sexually? And those are the kinds of elements that create that 10 out of 10 marriage. And if anything's missing from it, like you just feel like there's an emptiness, how can you correct that? How do you go into conflict? And in retrospect, when we look back at our journey and through everything that you've learned in sex and relationship coaching and in our relationship and everything that I've learned in the relationships of business, I think we've come up with, I think, the criteria or the specific elements or components that have made our relationship a 10 out of 10. And that's kind of what set that framework for the Spark framework, which is really an acronym. And we're going to walk through that a little bit today on a very high level and just kind of talk a little bit about that and share how we've experienced that.
are you ready for that?
Am I ready for that? Are you ready for this? Are you ready for it?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Of course.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Anything to add to that? Like
To speaking to
just the 10 out of 10 marriage, or anything you'd like to preface with on this?
yeah, that again, I specify this is a journey through this.
Right.
No way should it be meant to be perfect.
Right.
And it's going to, maybe feelings can come up during this whole thing too.
Oh,
and
yeah.
that's perfectly fine. I just want to preface that it's perfectly fine to have feelings.
1,000,000%.
Yeah.
And there should be a foundation. And we should set the disclaimer that we set every episode that we're coaches. We help to strengthen something that already has a foundation. We're not therapists. We are not doctors, and we don't pretend to be. We're not here to fix a broken marriage.
Yeah.
And if there's therapy that needs to happen, I suggest getting that. But for us, it's really, if there feels like there's a disconnection, these are the things that helped us to reconnect and build a strong relationship that became the foundation for everything in our lives, including successful businesses and success with each other. Yeah.
So what is the S in Spark
Yeah,
stand for?
absolutely. Yeah. So the S in Spark, which we spell SPARK, is just in case you're wondering. Just in case, is for safety.
Yeah.
We the first thing I think we want to do in any relationship is to feel safe, to provide a space of safety, of psychological safety, where you can have the right kinds of conversations.
So, speaking of safety, coming from a male perspective, what would you find safety? How would you define safety? How would you feel safe in our relationship?
15 guns in the house to protect our home.
Please stop with that.
No, it's in reality, in all honesty, I think safety is more of just creating that space where if I feel when I think of myself feeling safe, it's being able to share with you my deepest desires.
Yeah.
My deepest insecurities, my deepest challenges, my what I'm struggling with, without fear of judgment, without fear of shame. Because the idea of, for me personally, shame has been a big issue for me growing up. I felt a lot of shame, and I felt a lot of guilt. And that was one of that's the most difficult emotion for me to experience. Yeah. So when people make me feel shame, I don't feel safe. But when people make anything that I'm talking about feel welcome and heard and listened to, even if it's not something that, say I'm talking about a desire or a want, even if it's something that we never end up pursuing, just the freedom and the safety to be able to share that without the fear of judgment and without the fear of that coming back in some way is super important to me. And there's also an element of safety in my world too, that I feel it's almost an unconditional love that exists. And when I say unconditional love, the opposite of that would be transactional relationships. We've all had transactional relationships, I believe, right? Where you feel like if you give something, or you feel like when you get something, you feel like you have to give something in return, or else there's just something there. But that unconditional feeling of like, that's kind of just the safety I feel. I don't know. So how about you? What do you feel with regard to safety from a woman's perspective? Or do you have any additional questions on the men's perspective?
I think for a lot of women out there, and especially me, is safety. Psychological safety also has to deal with not being judged is one,
right,
and the shame, but also not being told what to do. Yeah. It's just being that holding space so that I can holding space like a container to be able to express myself. Mm-hmm. And if there's like something going on with me that day, being able to express that without feeling, oh, well, why did you do that again?
Right.
Or what did you think was going to happen? or why don't you just stop doing that? You know,
You should calm down.
You should. Oh, wow. That I think that right there just was like, oh, I'm triggered.
Yeah.
But it's being there, and just like even what you're doing right now, you're nodding to me. You are listening to me. You're giving me eye contact, and that's really important too. But we didn't always have that in this space, and that in itself can build resentment in that, and it's hard when you don't have that before, and so you don't feel that safety, so resentment builds up inside of you. And for some reason I have horrible memory, let's just say that I have a horrible memory, but when we get into arguments, I can remember everything that you've done that pissed me off in the past. I'm not going to say what you did wrong, because that's not true. It's everything. I'm getting passionate about it. Can you hear my voice raising?
I can hear it,
and like I'm getting warm.
Bring it, preach.
But it's serious. It's not a joke.
Right. Well, there's a reason why it's the first. I mean, it's the initial phase. I mean, without safety, without psychological safety, none of the other stuff is going to be relevant, because you don't have that foundation of safety.
Yeah, that's why it's first. And I always feel passionate about safety, because if we don't have that, resentment builds.
Right.
We cannot connect like this.
Right.
There is not sex or lack of sex in the relationship. And that's the process. No technique, no matter toy is going to repair your relationship.
Right. So what are the killers of safety? What kills the safety for couples?
Judgment.
Yeah.
Shame. They need to be seen.
Yeah.
And heard.
Right. I feel like there's also when you think of especially relationships that have been around a long time, a lack of openness and honesty. And I think those are maybe outcomes of not having a safe place. And those are also rooted in things like sacred cows, like sacred ideas that you just won't touch, untouchable conversations.
Yeah.
And this may be from men, the idea that like, oh, if I talk about this, or I think about maybe finding, like say you're watching a television show and a beautiful woman is on there, and you say something about like, oh, beautiful woman, and then you can't think about that other woman because, that your wife or your spouse will get offended.
Yeah.
Right. But in reality, I mean, like, let's face it, we all have variety of attractions, right? And it's like, if you can't talk about that kind of stuff, it's not like, and don't like shove it in the face or something like that, but it's like, but let's be real. Like, I mean, we have to be able to talk openly and honestly. And here's what I think that comes from a place of love and a place of care. I look at openness and honesty, and I look at those two things in particular as what you give and what you receive, and how you give and how you receive. How you give is giving in a caring way, where what is the purpose behind why you're sharing this information? Is it welcome? Is it something that the other person is going to welcome? Is it something that you need to share for you to feel that? And are you setting the stage for why you need to share that? And so giving from a place of care, and then the openness is like really how you receive. It's receiving that feedback with a willingness to be open, so that you're not being judgmental, you're not being shameful, you're not shutting down the conversation because you're triggered. Yeah. Frankly, your triggers are nobody else's responsibilities but yours.
Yeah. And
that doesn't mean that they're not real or legitimate, but you cannot create a floor full of eggshells for people to walk on. You have to create that safe space. It's kind of ironic, but to build that psychological safety, you need an element of risk and danger, and going into that danger, but going into it together, knowing that you're going to come out stronger. And I'll tell you, when you create that safety, that psychological safety, man, everything else gets
Yeah.
better. Yeah.
But it's also important to have these conversations when you're not activated. Like and when you're having conversations and you're trying to hold each other, like you're trying to hold space for each other, because obviously that's what's necessary for safety.
Right.
So not being activated, meaning you didn't just have a fight with your boss, or somebody yelled at you, or you feel like you've been stressed all day, and
Right.
if you get activated with your triggers, it's time to step back and be like,
Right.
look, we maybe like these words and this conversation are kind of going back and forth. Would it be better if we like took a second and had a breath together?
Yeah.
Or let's walk with our, holding hands. Maybe that will work to bring the connection a little bit inwards and not be so activated.
Yeah.
If something hits you, that's honest. Like it's a good place to be like, yeah, this hits me in a certain way, and being open and honest about it. And also if it's too much at that moment to hold, is maybe it's just to take a step back.
Right.
And for both parties too.
Yeah, and interestingly, that used to be a tough one for me, was because I wanted like resolution right then. And if you said, I can't talk about this right now, I'm too activated, I need to go take some time to myself, my brain would be spinning on how can I solve this? How can I get this? Because and so I would have dug in and been like, no, we need to get through this. And that was my problem, right? Of not listening and not being receptive to what you needed in that moment.
Yeah.
And that wasn't me. That was me not giving you a safe place for that.
Yeah.
And so I'm learning to like, okay, her love, she's being loving right now. She's being caring by saying that she needs that, because she's being honest about something that's hard. And we can come back to this and repair it later.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, that was powerful. So what are some tools that, that people could use, couples could use, to create that safety?
Well, don't do if for having conversations is probably the first step of creating safety with each other. I wouldn't do it distracted. Like if you're looking at your phone, making sure you're having eye contact is very important.
Right.
Not having these conversations in the bedroom. Not having these conversations when you're tired or hungry.
Yeah. I think that's good advice, like the eye contact, being intentional, being an active listener. And I think all of this kind of requires that maybe you schedule some time every week or even every day, depending on how you want it, like intentional time to just sit in the space and talk about some of those things.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. I mean, I think it started for us when we started having those weekly meetings where it wasn't right away that we felt safe, because it takes time, it takes practice, but over time you start to have more difficult conversations, and maybe just nudge it forward. Don't Leroy Jenkins this kind of thing of like trying to like put out the most difficult issues at the beginning, but like, just try to nudge yourself into that safe zone so that you can start to build on that, because it's all about growth, right?
Yeah. And again, when you get activated, step back from it.
Yeah.
Have a plan. Even saying, like in those cases is like, I need to take a breath. And maybe if I am taking a breath, knowing that I'm still here and I care about you, is that something that would resonate with you and help you if you're feeling like, no, we got to resolve this right now? Like, I'm still here with you.
Yeah, I think the idea of being connected is important.
Yeah.
I mean, and interestingly, you're not connected if you're putting the issue between you, because you've got an issue between you. But if you're putting the issue in front of you, you're more connected. But to your point, I think like you just touching my knee and say, hey, this is heavy. I need a moment. And can I take a break and just go for a walk or do something? Go scream into a pillow, punch a dog. I don't know, whatever it might be, but don't punch a dog. But like,
Oh, what is wrong with this? Maybe, yeah, that's not.
no, that's not the one. Like, but no, but you know what I mean, right?
I know. I'm just being.
But I think that that's kind of what it's because over time when you do create these spaces of safety, and for me it might be just like touching my knee and saying, hey, I'm a words of affirmation guy, so it's like, hey, this, I want to validate that, this is that I'm here for us, and this is just really hard for me. That helps me to understand. I know you're a touch person, but we've learned that because we've created that safe place of learning and learning to understand. And then it's all about applying those things. Like, oh, I've learned that you like touch, so I should be more attentive to touch you. And that actually turns that safe place into an active place where you're actually growing, and you're making that space even safer because you're living into and learning from what's happened in that safety. Yeah.
I agree with that.
Good.
That's good.
Yeah. Anything else
Safety.
on safety before we tie a bow on that and go on to P?
I almost thought you needed a bathroom break.
I got
right
a
there.
P. Yeah.
No, I think we've covered a good portion of safety. And again, if this is getting activated and you can't see eye to eye, yes, therapy might be a good option for you.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with therapy.
No,
we've been in therapy for years.
Yeah,
Not together,
seriously.
but we've been separately, but I mean together even, like it's a good mechanism. Right?
Yes, I agree with that.
Yeah. So what is P?
P is play. It's
P is
one
play.
of my favorite because I'm very childlike. I like the idea of play. I love being like in that discovery mode sort of thing, and
Right.
just bantering back and forth with you is fun. The flirtation that we have, the even the flirty text that we have,
Oh, yeah.
is very important in a relationship. Play is always incorporated in our dating. So either going, I try to stay away from just going out to dinner because I feel that, I don't know.
That's
It's
just
not
dating. I mean, that's like, yeah, I mean, the dinner part of it feels like it's just like, okay, we're just going to eat together, and
We're gonna
there may
eat
be some
together.
connection there, but I don't know. That doesn't feel like play to, I mean, unless there's some kind of intention behind it. Like you're going to a cooking class together and you both like
Ooh.
cooking or something like that. Or there's some element of like, hey, we're, there's some element of playing, but I think play is just, it's being able to, have that childlike experience with your spouse, being able to bring back and keep that new relationship energy, being able to experiment. It's like almost like R&D if you're in your business. I mean, you kind of, I don't know, what do you think? Research and development and building on that relationship with some play.
Yeah, I think
Yep.
a lot of our date nights are either going to games and doing fun activities outside, like hiking. I love the hiking with you.
Yeah.
It's a great way to connect and be active at the same time.
Yeah. Do you feel like there's different like scales of play? Because, talking about the dating, stuff like that, that's one part of play, right?
Yeah.
Then there's the little things like if you're in the kitchen and, I just see your ass just sitting there and I've just got to smack it, and then I go up and, that kind of stuff is like playful touch,
Yes, because we are consensual on that fact.
Well, of course,
Don't
yeah.
start smacking your wife's
Right.
ass
Right.
if it's not consensual. So, I mean, I don't know, some people do take offense to that, but that's one of my that's my fun ways to play with you.
It's true, yeah,
Exactly.
well, you want to make sure that the play is aligned. That it is consensual, because I know, and this goes for a lot of folks out there. Will just say, I'm just playing around or something like that to diffuse something. But if it's not somebody's jam,
Yeah.
don't go around teasing somebody if they don't want a part of that. This is something hopefully you're learning about early in the relationship, so that you can become aligned around what play looks like for you
Yeah.
and what you want to experiment with. And of course, use that safe place. Once you're building that place of safety, you can use that to talk about what play looks like. Because play goes from like the idea of, what are you doing for fun on nights out when you go maybe watch hockey games or sports games or something like that, down to like, what are you doing sexually
Yeah.
that you're both into and that you enjoy? Where are you experimenting there? Where are you keeping the spark alive there?
Yeah.
And all of that, I think, comes from that safe place.
Yeah.
Because if you're not talking about that, yeah, you can just have the dull, like kind of maybe boring and not so fulfilling sex that neither of you are really into, just because you're kind of going through the motions instead of talking about what you really want.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, even in the bedroom,
Yeah.
I think there needs to be conversations outside the bedroom of what you want too,
Mm-hmm.
because that is important. Like, we just don't jump into it and jackhammer away. I mean,
Right.
and like, a lot of women do not just want to go into that. Then you need to preheat their oven, and that requires time. And it's different for each person.
So
It's
preheat
like,
the oven is just rubbing the belly. Is that?
You need
Am I getting
help.
that right?
It's also connection with words and connection with it, like even going out, and when we do the hike, it's kind of getting like your blood flowing too, and having those conversations that contribute to what it looks like in the bedroom.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I think the point here too, and is that a lot of those conversations happen outside of the bedroom first, most of the time, because it's like you said earlier, in that safety, you don't want to have the conversations in the bedroom for the first time.
No.
You want to be able to have them outside, so that you are crystal clear on what you both want, and how that play looks. Play can also be humor. You hear me kind of like teasing Marie a bit, like, with some humor. That's my way of play. And when you can align that flavor of play that really works well for you and what your partner receives well, that's that sweet spot that you want to just keep leaning into.
Yeah.
But find that alignment in there.
Yeah, I think it's really important that the play start outside the bedroom,
Yeah.
because
Absolutely.
If you're not in that explorative, flirty, sensual space, it's hard to see that in a partner inside the bedroom,
Yeah. Yeah.
because it's like 1 minute, okay, I'm working, and then next minute, okay, let's just hop to it and get it done. It's like, no, there's an element there of slowing down, and like being flirtatious and playful. I like to make sure when you come home that that I really appreciate you coming home. Like I try to yell out like, "Oh my gosh, you're here," and then make a point to drop things. And if I'm not on a phone call or doing something, is to shower you with attention too.
Yeah.
It's important for
Yeah.
me
Right.
to let you know that you are important in my life. And I mean, even that non-sexy touch, because not everybody wants to have sex at all the time, but they still need to have touch too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So not every slap on the ass or like hug means, hey, let's go up to the bedroom right now.
Right.
So it's important to be able to incorporate all different types of play in your life.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
if you don't have time for that,
Right.
then you really don't have time to play in the bedroom too. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Well, I think that's an important point that, not all play, it has to be, result in sex, because a lot of times a lot of pressure comes from that. And then there's a bristle response that comes from that, especially with related to touch, where it's like, if there's an expectation that if I touch you, that it's going to always have to go to sex, or I'm going to be hurt or whatever, you're going to develop this bristle response where you almost like recoil if I touch you. But normalizing the idea of non-sexual touch, in the relationship, or joking or banter, things like that, or flirting, that just keeps it alive, pressure-free, and fun.
Yeah.
Right? And
we just need to provide that space to be playful, sensual, without the expectation, the of having to perform.
yes,
So.
yeah. So there's a few tools I think that I would recommend that you can incorporate and learn more about each other, and the play styles that you might want, both in and out of the bedroom. And in some ways it's like, just have the discussions in, that connection point when you're building that safe place. Start to ask, what are you into? What are the things that you both enjoy doing that would be playful in, just general things. Do you love joking? Do you love humor? Do you have inside jokes that you go into? What is the flirting style that you're into? Is it humor? Is it sarcastic? Is it kind of is it really suggestive? What does that look like? And then there's even card games that people have. Like Esther Perel has her what's the name of her card thing?
I knew you were going to call the one person you can't remember.
Yeah, it's
is it Where Do We Go?
Where Do We Begin?
Where Do We Begin? Thank you.
Yeah, it's also the name of her podcast. But she's got this card game that can help you just ask questions, learn more about each other, and this can lead to that understanding of play. In the bedroom, there's all sorts of lists out there, like Emily Morse, who has the podcast Sex with Emily, has something called the Yes, No, Maybe list. And there's a variety of yes, no, maybe lists out there too that you can go through that will talk about different kinds of sexual experiences that you might want to try or not try, but you can get aligned around knowing what those are.
But here's the thing: it's like we get into that area where people like, you're into that, like, oh my gosh, I could never be into that, and my heart just sinks when it's like, I understand that society gives us these preconceived notions of how we're supposed to be in and out of the bedroom,
right?
But my hope and my thoughts for people is that we try to be open with each other's needs and non-judgmental. It goes back to to giving yourself a safe place to listen and be open to the play style of another person.
Absolutely.
And also checking in, taking the temperature, asking, is this like, you notice your person recoil, is like, what's going on there? Like, being able to voice, and maybe one day I loved my ass slapped, and the next day is like, no, I don't, and being not understanding is like, what, are you on your period or something? Why can't you just be one way? It's just be like, yeah,
because
some
it's
days
dynamic.
I don't want that.
Right, it's dynamic.
Yes,
and we cannot take those things so personally. I mean, there's the golden rule in life and relationships is try not to offend, and don't be offended.
Yeah.
I mean, just do that. And we know that there's going to be some mix in there, but some days you're going to like something, some days you're not. And I like the idea of creating a menu especially like for the bedroom. It's like, hey, so what's on the menu today? Do we want to try this, or this?
Yeah.
And it's just like talking about that kind of stuff.
Maybe that just stokes the fire a little bit too,
Exactly.
is having that conversation outside the bedroom.
Yes.
And taking the other person's temperature
Right.
to see what are they what's going on today? What do we need from each other?
Yeah,
That's
because
great. I
yeah,
like that.
absolutely. Because I mean, give yourself the opportunity to like throw a few ideas out there instead of pinning down on one and then getting hurt if it's a no, even on that day. Because a lot of times it's not personal; it's just in the day. There's some days we're into sex, some days we're not, some days we're into a certain style, some days we're not, and that's okay. It doesn't. We just the more we can normalize that, the better. And I think to that end, there's I think with the I lost my train of thought there. I forgot what I was going to say. Dang it! But there was something important. But anyway, but yeah, just like kind of incorporate those elements of play into it. And oh, now I remember. You mentioned the idea of like not yucking somebody's yum, or saying like, or not shaming somebody's play style, or
Yeah.
saying like, I would never do that.
Yeah.
I've learned the art of saying, that's a no for me right now,
Yeah.
because simply shutting the door on it forever. I mean, and what we're talking about here is absolutely things that are consensual, that are not dangerous or anything like that. But saying that just gives you the opportunity to be open minded to things that your partner might want, and you might actually learn to like later on.
Yeah.
There's that's been the case for both of us as we've evolved.
Yeah, but just being open to listening to the person and what their needs are.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's fabulous.
And being curious.
I like the fact that you're going there and
Yeah.
I enjoy it. It sounds really super hot and sexy.
Yeah.
And
Go on.
I need to really dive into seeing how that, you saying that, just how I feel about that.
Right.
And what's going on for me, because something's coming up for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to make sure that I understand that.
Yeah.
So if it's okay, let's get back. We can shelve that and get back to it some other time.
Yeah.
How do you feel like that?
Cue the Jim Carrey meme. So you're saying there's a chance.
Oh, you are dating yourself so much. I'm trying to hide that.
Right. So moving on from play, I mean, a lot of what we're talking about in play kind of bleeds into the third letter in the Spark framework, which is A, which is alignment, right? And so building that alignment, not just around like play and everything there, but around values, ideals, your vision.
This is you. This is all you. This is your
my
ooey.
world.
This is your ooey gooey center of the EOS model. It's like I could just see you getting into it, and you're just like,
Yeah.
what is your vivid vision?
Well, it's
That
I mean, there's a lot to
that
it.
turns me on.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. If you want to get straight to my heart and my nether regions, start talking about a vision. But no, it's alignment around that vision, your values, like just around how you show up in life, around what you do, spirituality and things of that nature. In a relationship, you are going to have differences, and that's okay. That's what makes it dynamic. That's what makes it actually beautiful. That's what makes it fun. But there's also going to be really these core ideals that you are going to align around. And it is where it gets fun with the alignment, because there are when you can align around certain things and then be fully focused in those areas on just leaning into them. That's what makes the relationship so wonderful. A lot of times I think people become so disconnected in their marriages or their relationships is because they don't articulate their common values or their common vision. They're just kind of floating along, hoping that they stay connected, angry because the other person doesn't get them when they haven't even really talked about that.
Yeah.
But we get together now, once a year and every quarter, and now weekly because of the weekly meeting, but we find alignment around common values and our vision. We've even this last year, we did an exercise where we took Cameron Herold's Vivid Vision. It's a book that if you watch or if you've read Cameron Herold's book, Vivid Vision, he talks about creating this 3 to 5 year just vision with absolute clarity. You write it down, it becomes a 3 to 5 page document that outlines where you are in real time 3 to 5 years from now. And we wrote ours individually. We came together at the new year and we shared it with each other. And we found that they were pretty well aligned, but we looked for those points of alignment. And then we created really our vision for where do we want to go 10 years from now? What are we going to do 3 years from now? And we used it to help set our 3 year, our 1 year goals that we're focused on achieving every single year. That alignment leads you into this growth mindset that helps you to grow together, to be a team, to really be partners in not just a relationship, but in life and in your business, so that you can grow on every end. Because even in relationships, as much as people hate to hear this, great relationships are run like great businesses. They really are. If you are not growing in your relationship, then it's probably dying.
I think it's like having the structure in the relationship.
Yeah.
If you don't have the structure, how are we going to raise the kids? Or are we going to have kids?
Yeah.
Are we going to have joint bank accounts? I mean, these are questions that you should know early on in your relationship. But it doesn't just stop there. You don't just start before you get married or right before you get married. It continues.
But Marie, where's the romance in that?
Well, without it, there's complete chaos. Yeah. Like, yeah, we have lights and we have lines on the road and we have police officers to patrol. Yeah, because we need some structure and safety in our lives. So it's important to know how are we just going to let our kids roam free and just take over the house? And there has to be some sort of structure in your relationship for that reason. Is because that are we going to raise our kids in a household full of religion? Or how is it going to look when they leave the house? Well, I mean, we're getting to that phase right now.
We are.
And being prepared for that is very important, because you just can't rely on it. Well, we'll just figure it out when it happens. I mean, yeah.
That's a great point. Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
good luck.
Yeah. You're touching on something so important there, which is like these phases of life. If you're not aligned in these phases and you're just floating along, you're likely, you may be growing apart rather than together, like we talked about earlier. But you're also not preparing for what's going to happen. Because if you were setting these goals 3-10 years from now, or whatever it is, whatever phase of life you're in, you were setting it with your future self in mind. Where are you going to be? Our kids 3 years from now are going to be out of the house.
Yes.
And we're going... Yeah. And we're going to be like, we're once again going to kind of be reintroduced to ourselves in a new way. We already are. We are growing into our next phase of marriage, where we're empty nesters. We may be traveling more, and that's what that alignment allows. That the common vision, the common values, the common focus of your relationship is giving you that freedom. You mentioned that structure. Structure doesn't bind you to some kind of prison. It actually sets the tone. It's that foundation of freedom that strengthens the house on which your relationship is built.
Yeah, and I think also to touch on the subject matter is the fact that let's be really super honest with ourselves, that not only our lives change and we grow in family, but also our idea of what we want to do for a job, work, changes too. Right. So it's good to start having those goals and sharing them with your significant other, so that you're not all of a sudden, hey, I really want to do X, Y, and Z. Mm-hmm. I want, and you're like, wait, what? And you're like, you have to be supportive. Yeah. You have to have the structure so that they like, this is having feelings behind it. Because say if I want to go back to college and get my engineering degree. Right. and saying that I'm going to start tomorrow at such and such school. I just signed up for it. I mean, that's a big disruption in the household. And it's also, you have to wrap your mindset around what that looks like
Oh, 100%.
for the whole family, because you are a unit too.
Yeah.
So having that idea of what your goals and your future looks like is really important, because not only it's important to have these conversations with your significant others, but it helps you to look out and look forward to what you might want.
Yes, absolutely.
So.
I mean, a couple that dreams together and builds together is a couple that stays strong together. And in the process, you learn more about your significant other that helps you to really align even more.
Yeah.
So that alignment is so important around those vision, values, and everything like that. So suggestion, the tools here, I think, are just every year, every quarter, get together with your spouse, spend a day creating that vision, articulating your values. There's great card games even on this. I'm throwing a lot of card games at y'all for this, but there's also great cards on this to actually help establish those combined core values. So core values are a great starting point and a filter for like defining like what you're doing, where you're going. Dreams, set that 10-year or 5-year target of where you want to be in the next 5 years. What is your income? What does your revenue look like? What are your businesses look like? Where are you traveling? What are you doing? And set those dreams, set those goals so that you can start working together on them. Build that alignment. Those are some of the tasks to get there.
I agree.
So yeah. So now we've got safety.
I'm glad you're keeping track of all this.
And I'm trying to. It's all up here.
I'm a horrible speller.
I know. We're two visionaries and everything, but like we've got safety, which is creating that foundation of safety. We've got play, which makes it fun, exciting, and
joy.
Acting like with a lot of joy. Thank you. And now we've got alignment, so you're aligned around your values, your vision, and all of that. Now we're getting to the R, which is the pirate phase of this framework.
My! I was wondering if that was going to come in.
Yeah, and so R is for rhythms. When we say rhythms is really just the rhythm of life and how we live together, how we experience the rhythm of life together. And that, I think, comes in the long-term rhythms and the short-term rhythms. The long-term rhythms are really the rhythms that we talked about earlier, which are the seasons of life. We'd mentioned, I think, in our previous episode that we're on our 4th or 5th marriage together, right? And so there's this rhythm, there's these seasons of life that you live in, that you have to live in together, where all of those come into play. And that's where like the planning comes in, where you are creating that longer term vision, and you're playing into that. And then there's the seasons that are more difficult, that are more challenging, that you have to navigate. Understanding in those long term seasons that that nothing is permanent, and it's being able to navigate through those together. On the shorter term, it's the rhythms, the weekly, the daily rhythms that you go through. Like, what are you making sure that you're scheduling, like the weekly meeting, the weekly connections that you have together to have that? Are you daily doing the kinds of connections, having the right kinds of connections that keep you connected, even when you're apart? I travel a lot, but we do things like we text each other. We flirt over text. We do FaceTime. We make sure we stay connected at a distance. Those daily connections of the daily rhythms of having dinner together, if that's important to you, making sure that you're incorporating that, even to the sexual, where you're scheduling sex. Yes, scheduling it. I mean, yeah. So, what are your thoughts on all those rhythms?
I also. It's just like that purpose of planning, because not only does having that sort of rhythm involved, there's also things that come up in daily life that can cause these ups and downs as well too.
Absolutely.
Because issues may come up Like
Right.
there could be a death in the family. I mean, that's one extreme one
Sure.
of happening, and how to navigate that too. But
Right.
having these systems and everything else in a place that it allows you to be okay with the chaos that is involved in your world as well too. So
Right.
like having that and knowing that also with these rhythms we're not always going to be connected.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I mean that kind of speaks to our story when we were living with our daughter's eating disorder.
Yeah.
For years, very severe, in and out of treatment centers, being disrupted, going to the emergency room late at night dozens of times. It's the rhythm is mired in disruption. There's things that the alignment, while the alignment part of this framework is fun, it's exciting to dream and things like that. On the path towards building towards that vision, there's going to be disruption, like you're talking about. There's going to be shifts in the rhythm, and it is all about, within the rhythm you can't necessarily change a lot of those things, but you have to flow with them. And there's some ways that you can influence the flow, but you can't change the current, and you kind of have to go with it a lot of times.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really important to have a plan.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that things come up. I mean, it's not a straight line when you have a goal.
Right.
And everything comes up. I feel like when I have a goal in mind, that there's always something that's get disrupted in the path of getting there. So either, you have to zig and zag and do your best to stay on that path, but getting creative in that path to get to where you want to go.
Yeah.
So understanding that it's not going to go exactly how you envision it, plan it, do it.
Right.
But have that in mind when you are moving forward to
Yeah.
doing something, of looking back at those visions, and being understanding that things are going to come up in your day-to-day life, but it being intentional about connecting and making sure that we do have that in place,
Yeah.
so that it doesn't throw us completely off course.
Absolutely. That's the key point, is in that rhythm, staying connected. A rhythm, if you're listening to a jazz song and it just sounds like completely dysfunctional, the rhythm you can't, over the course of it, you still find the melody. The melody is your connection. So stay connected. That is the key to maintaining that healthy rhythm. That connection comes, again, on weekly connection, scheduling and prioritizing each other in the right ways, making sure that you're scheduling sex and intimacy, scheduling your meetings, having that daily coffee connection and making that non-negotiable. Those are the things that keep you aligned and connected in the rhythm even when things get hard.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because we know there's a absolute chaos can happen.
Absolutely. Totally. So then we round out this Spark framework with K, which is Kaizen. And that is a Japanese term, which really just means continuous improvement. And it's really, the term itself is more aligned towards, business and constantly improving, a business. Yeah. But I think the same can apply to a relationship, because when we talk about, I just mentioned a little bit earlier that relationships are a lot like a business, a great business. Well, relationships are a lot like a business, and there's no denying the fact that a lot of businesses fail, a lot of relationships fail, and the reality is because because all business is rooted in relationships. The more that you can master relationships, the more that you can master business as well, because it's all about relationships. And I think that strengthening your relationship is grounded in also the focus of continuous improvement. How can we continuously grow together? How can we continuously improve? And here's the thing on that, going kind of tying it back into a complete circle, is perfection is a limiting belief. Because if you are demanding perfection, and if you're assuming everything's perfect, or that's your expectation, there's no improving from perfect. So where is the joy in that? Joy in a relationship, the thrill of a relationship, the excitement that comes from a relationship only comes if you're continuously growing, which means that it must continue to be imperfect.
Yeah. What I would say to that is Kaizen being continuous growth, and why it's so scary and, uncomfortable for people to understand that, oh, I have to continuously grow.
Yeah.
But then you're obviously having to go into that space where you're learning something new. Mm-hmm. And that's scary.
Yeah.
It's a very scary place.
Yeah.
And I like to know what I'm saying and doing, and I don't like to get uncomfortable and be like, you know what? I'm new. Mm-hmm. And it's so uncomfortable, but I know how important this is. Mm-hmm. Because I see you always doing that and always wanting to continuously grow, and you make it look easy. To be honest with you, even being your spouse, you make it look easy, but I know that's not true. Mm-hmm. Because it is scary, just as for me as it is for you.
Well, you've heard me complain about it enough that you know it's not easy.
No, but you make a decision and you go for it. But you've learned that all those thoughts, those negative, oh, I'm going to be a beginner in this. Like, take karate, for example. Like, we had to show up not knowing anything. And I made us go to the group classes quite quickly, mm-hmm. because of the fact that I needed to be there and know that it's okay to start something new.
Right.
And be uncomfortable in those spots. Like, mm-hmm. every day I envision myself, okay, I'm confident in all aspects of my life. And that confidence is that little bit of uncomfortableness that I feel. Mm-hmm. Being confident is not, oh, I can do this and there's no fear involved. Like, right. It's the same as courage. You don't just, you're not without fear. You just do it anyways.
Right.
And confidence, I believe, is the same thing.
Yeah.
Because knowing that aspect of it and being like, oh, look at that feeling right there. That's okay. Mm-hmm. And moving forward is okay. Right. But sometimes when you see your spouse moving forward and you're like, oh, shit, they're going somewhere and I feel left behind. I feel abandoned. Mm-hmm. And just, what do I do? They're doing that. What do I do? Right. And just that's scary in itself. It's not easy. It's not comfortable ooey gooey stuff. No. It takes work and it takes courage and it takes stepping into your comfort zone.
Absolutely. And that's what growth requires.
Yeah.
It requires courage.
You make it. I don't mean to say that. I know it's difficult. Mm-hmm. It is. And I just wanted to remind everybody, it is not easy.
It's not easy. No. It's not meant to be easy.
And I am going to be your first cheerleader in line because I know how difficult it is.
Absolutely.
So,
but you've walked through it. I mean, because you've walked through it too. And if you're not willing to go into it, you're going to be forced into it. Mm-hmm. We were forced into it with our daughter's situation
Yeah.
to actually do that. You may be forced into it through a rhythm of the life, but you're going to be forced into uncomfortable situations. You can be intentional about going into those situations with courage, or new situations where you have opportunities to grow of your choosing, or you can get dragged into them. It could be a career change. I mean, everything, the world is always evolving around us, always. And if we're not evolving with us, I've seen this enough working in a family business that has 100 years of history, where I've seen enough people that weren't willing to change, who left their careers miserable and hating everybody and everything because the world changed around them and they weren't willing to change. The same happens in relationships. If you're not willing to evolve and grow, that same Harry met Sally moment where you get the girl and you move to the next phase, it's going to become something different. And that's okay, because that too is exciting. What comes next can be exciting if you choose to embrace that change and that growth. Because if you're not growing in a relationship, likely it's going to atrophy and die.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Well said.
Thank you. So that's the Spark framework. It ends with Kaizen.
Kaizen.
That's safety.
That's a fun word to
It
say.
is, huh? That's so fun to say.
Sorry, it's around December, so I love Elf, the movie. But
So that's the Spark framework. Those are essentially the components of what really, I think, made our relationship go from a 5 out of 10 to a 10 out of 10. Again, not a perfect by any stretch, but we wouldn't want perfect. We want to be continuing to grow. We want to be continually aligned. And Spark is safety, it's play, it's alignment, it's the rhythms, and it's the Kaizen, the continuous growth. And yeah, that's really, if you could take some of the principles from each of those components, it'll start to make your relationship stronger, better, more enjoyable, more joyful.
I agree with that. Well said again.
Thank you.
You're on a roll today.
I am.
I'm just words of affirmation for you.
Thank you.
Because it's important
Yeah.
to give a little love back to your spouse.
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
And I love you too. And I'm sorry if I took up more of the microphone this time around and talked a little bit too much.
No, you did a well job. I think it was awesome.
Thank you. So did you.
Thank you.
Yeah. And if you all enjoyed this, and if you think this was a good episode, why don't you share it with a friend or send it out there? Share the love, share the message, because if you get this out there, more people are going to hear it and help their marriages and help their businesses to succeed. And if you want more, in the show notes, you can actually download our free guide that provides an agenda for our weekly meeting, for what we do in our weekly connection, so that you too can start having those rhythms and that alignment in your own life. And please, if you haven't already, subscribe to this show, like it, share it, and really spread the love. We appreciate it. Gets the word out there. And until next time, thanks for joining us on Startup Spouses. We will see you soon.